This podcast is part of the Big Heads Media Podcast Network. Go to bigheadsmedia.com for more great podcasts.
You're plugged in for the Podcast Wrestling Society, where you can get dynamic weekly pro wrestling and MMA-related content. Give us a follow on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at PODWRES Society so that you can stay in the know.
Faith is the place, and the sky's the limit.
And if you like what you hear, give us a 5-star review and hit that subscribe button.
Woo! 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 Woo!
Now, your host, he is the one and only Troy Adams.
Hello and welcome everyone to another Wrestling Wednesday here on the Podcast Wrestling Society. Today, the champions will clash. I am your loving leader, benevolent host and Midwest monster, Troy Adams. And with me today is no one. I will be playing something a little later. It is between Greg and I. But right now, I promised you a Clash of Champions review. Therefore, you will get a Clash of Champions review to open up this show. Unfortunately, I was not able to tie down anyone with my limited schedule that I have this week. I'm going out of town on Thursday and for my birthday weekend, a long birthday weekend away with my wife and family, and it should be a good time. I'm very much looking forward to it. No work for like 6 days in a row or something like that, which is very welcome. But right now, before the vacation, I have a lot of work. So right now I'm recording before I go into work, just to get you guys exactly what I promised you, get you the best content available in any wrestling podcast today. Before we start off, I do want to let everybody know that besides the Big Heads Media Network, go check out the No Please Don't Podcast Network on NoPleaseDon'tPodcast.com. There you can check out my buddy Santiago's various podcasts like Local Trash, El Chivo, Top Brass, and there are a bunch of other podcasts on there as well. But the one I really want to shill right now is my other wrestling podcast called Retro Wrestling Review. I haven't had much of a chance to talk about it here on the podcast, but I played a promo for it last week. What it is Santiago and I are talking about and doing watch-alongs to retro wrestling matches, whether they be lucha libre, whether they be Japanese wrestling, American territories, the Canadian territories, the British territories. We're doing anything basically, if you cannot find it on the WWE Network, then we're going to do it on Triple R. We may in the future do some TNA stuff, or, you know, basically, if anything happened, and it doesn't have to be retro, if it happened before the year 2019, then we will probably cover it at some point. But we got a great lineup for you. We've already got 5 episodes out there. I believe just 5, but 5 great episodes out there. Go check that out. And also check out classic episodes of Cinemarks, which is our old movie podcast. That is available in the same feed. I switched it over to Retro Wrestling Review, but if you go to NoPleaseDon'tPodcast.com and click on Cinemarks, you'll have the current episodes of Retro Wrestling Review on there. But you'll also have classic episodes of Cinemarks. If you like movies, we did various episodes on current and past films, different subjects each time. They're a little long, about an hour and a half to 2 hours long, but some of the discussions get pretty deep, and it's good stuff. Go check that out for sure if you will. Now, getting to Clash of Champions, now I have my notes, I have Greg's notes that he sent me. I asked him to send me his notes because since he can't be here today, I am just going to tell you what I think, or what I thought of the show, and get into all that. And then I'm going to tell you what Greg thought about the show, what he sent me anyway. And then after this, I know we promised to cover the big event from Toronto, Canada, 1986. Unfortunately, I do have notes from that, but it's not as fun with just me rambling on. So I'm going to play. It's from our YouTube archives, but never heard before here on the podcast. We're a ways away from you know, the WrestleMania season, but because of the big event, and we will cover it eventually, I figured that's between WrestleMania 2 and 3. Why not cover WrestleMania 2? So we're bringing it back after the Clash of Champions review here. I will be playing our review, in its entirety, of WrestleMania 2, which was a hilariously, I mean, it was big. It was a big show, but it was hilariously booked, and it was kind of laughable. I don't know. We made it funny. You'll see. There was a lot of notes that was like, wow, okay. But first off, on the pre-show here, I actually watched the entire thing. To start off, I will say, I think they kept it a little shorter this year, which I appreciated. Or I feel like they kept it a little shorter. I don't know if this is going to be a thing from now on, finally, but I hope so, because it ended at 10:30. I'm pretty sure most pay-per-views usually end about 11. I could be wrong, but I enjoyed it. When it ended at 10:30, I was like, good. You know, I can go to bed at a normal time. The date, September 15th, 2019, from Charlotte, North Carolina, in the Spectrum Center, was where this show took place. The opening match of the pre-show was a cruiserweight title match: Lince Dorado versus Humberto Carrillo, who I've never heard of, and Drew Gulak was defending the cruiserweight title. To be honest, I didn't watch a lot of this. I half-heartedly watched it, skipped around a little bit. For what I did see, it was good stuff. Now, I'm using Bleacher Report for some of my notes here. Dorado tried for a shooting star press, but missed. Carrillo answered with an Aztec press, but Gulak tossed him to the floor and scored with a roll-up for the successful title defense. The grade that Bleacher Report gave it was a B. It went 10 minutes and 5 seconds, which, oddly enough, was one of the longer matches on the show. This show had some short, choppy matches to it, or matches that went under 10 minutes. The next match, I couldn't believe my friggin' eyes, was AJ Styles versus Cedric Alexander for the U.S. title. It blew my mind. Cedric was the hometown boy. Styles is Styles. I can't believe he's on a frickin' pre-show. This match went less than 5 minutes. For what it was good for the most part, but it didn't get a lot of time. It should have, and Styles just wrecked his crap. He gave him a Styles Clash to the outside. He was targeting his knee, and then at the end, Styles hit a phenomenal forearm. I was trying to think of the name of it there. He hit the phenomenal forearm, and then into a Styles Clash. He beat the hometown guy of Cedric Alexander, and then he called out the OC, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, and they just beat the crap out of Alexander, left him laying. Bleacher Report gave it an F. I'm going to give it a C-, just because it was so short, and Cedric, I expected him not to get buried, but they just, buried him deep in the ground here, so whatever. I didn't want him to go over. Keep in mind, I'm not saying that, but just to have a 3-on-1 mugging and Styles, I don't know. That's my opinion. For the pre-show, Greg said, Cruiserweight title match was fun, nothing groundbreaking but good. For the next match, he said, why the hell was AJ Styles on the pre-show? Fast start, kept the pace, damn good. I disagree. It was okay. The next one, to open the actual show, we get the Raw Tag Team titles on the line. It was Seth Rollins and Braun Strowman versus Robert Roode, Bobby Roode. I I don't know what he's calling himself right now. I guess he's calling himself Robert Roode. And Dolph Ziggler. Roode tried for his glorious DDT, but Strowman ran him over, and in the process knocked down his own partner, because he hit Roode into Rollins, whatever. And then Roode capitalized, and he pinned Rollins for following the glorious DDT, pick up the win. So we get new tag team champions in Roode and Ziggler. The former tag champions are feuding before their match later on. Bleacher Report gave it a B. I'd give it like a C+. It was, splitting hairs, I guess. Bleacher Report said, with nothing else of any real note for Roode and Ziggler to do, a tag title run is as good as any other use for them. I agree. The match went 9 minutes 40 seconds. It was pretty decent. Up next, we get Bayley defending the SmackDown Women's Championship against Charlotte Flair. Both the hometown heroes get very short matches. This one only went 3 minutes 45 seconds. Real quick before we get into this, Greg said the Raw Tag Team title match was over before I knew it. Very forgettable. Speaking of forgettable, this one, Bayley comes out acting like a babyface. She gets a few smattering of boos, and then Charlotte comes out, is cheered because it's her hometown, and then she kind of works like a chicken crap heel to start with, Bayley, I mean, and then she just gets beat on and beat on and beat on and beat on, and Flair just like whoops her ass like over and over, and it just goes on and on and on. Finally at the end, and Bayley's not really doing much of a heel routine, but Charlotte's still a heel as well. Technically, this match was just oddly booked, but finally Bayley grabbed Flair, like she pulled the turnbuckle pad off the bottom turnbuckle, and Flair comes over and she grabs Charlotte and pulls her face first into the exposed turnbuckle, rolls her up 1, 2, 3, and then she grabs her title and runs away, like full-on sprints up the aisle and just takes off. Okay, I mean, it was fine. I guess it put over Bayley as a chicken crap heel, which I don't really buy her as a chicken crap, but whatever. Bleacher Report gave it a C+. I mean, I give it a D+, just because it was so short and nothing really got going. What there was of it was okay. Greg said, Bayley versus Charlotte was another forgettable match with a great ending that happened very quickly. Loved the, quote, title run from Bayley. It was okay. But after this, we get the tag champions of The New Day, Big E and Xavier Woods, defending the tag titles against the Revival. This one actually went for 10 minutes and 15 seconds, which was a shocker. But the Revival went over strong in this one, I feel. Now, on the floor, they leveled Big E with a shatter machine, returned their attention to a prone Xavier Woods on the inside. Like sharks smelling blood in the water, the challengers stalked Woods and put him down with another shatter machine. Rather than finishing him off to win the titles, they opted to focus on the knee, looking to further punish their rival. This when Greg and I both thought, well, they're going to lose now, and they being the Revival, it's like they're clearly going to lose now, they're taking too much time. But no, Dawson trapped Woods in a submission, and the outmatched babyface had no choice but to tap out, earning the Revival another run with a championship gold. And they are officially the only team to be NXT, Raw, and SmackDown Tag Team Champions in history. So that's cool. I've made clear my thoughts on the Revival before. They're great. They're amazing. I think they're the best team on the planet. Greg said SmackDown Tag Title match was great. Very odd at the end with the Revival taking off Woods' pant leg to attack his knee. I really thought Woods and E would rally after this, but didn't, which shocked me. So there's that. All in all, I thought it was pretty good for what it was. One of the better matches of the night, I felt. And on the opposite end of the spectrum, the women's tag team title match, Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross defending against Fire and Desire, which is Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. This one went 9 minutes 5 seconds. 7 minutes too long. Nikki Cross at one point mocked Mandy Rose's little hip gyration thing, and it looked really awkward, but it got a big pop from the crowd. And Corey Graves was clearly pissed off on commentary about it. So, in an attempt at a double team finisher, though, saw Bliss tag back into the match. Rose pulled Cross to the floor and then joined Deville for their own double team finish that should have ended the match. Cross, though, broke up the pin. Moments later, she delivered a draping neckbreaker to Rose for the successful title defense. Another thing that plagued this match was, and they don't put it in the notes here for Bleacher Report, but at one point, because in the back, R-Truth messes up Alexa and Nikki's interview, so Alexa grabs a mic and makes an announcement, hey, R-Truth is on the set, if anybody wants the 24/7 title. Everybody goes running and chasing R-Truth and Carmella. Well, during the match, they run in, and R-Truth and company run in. Alexa stops what she's doing with her opponents and rolls up R-Truth. 1, 2, but Truth kicks out, and him and Carmella take off. It was blah. I thought it was stupid, and it ruined the match. I mean, not that the match was good to begin with, but it ruined what was going with it, I thought. And the match just got super sloppy after that. It was sloppy before, it got sloppier after. Greg said women's tag title match was very forgettable. Loved Alexa's look. Big surprise. Of course, I laughed so hard at the 24/7 title defense. I thought it was pointless and stupid. But then again, I'm like the one guy on the planet, I think, that absolutely freaking hates that title and wish it would just go away and never return. Intercontinental title match was up next. I feel bad that I forgot Shinsuke Nakamura was the IC champion, because it seems like they're actually doing something with him now. But then again, I forgot this was a match. So, The Miz versus Shinsuke. This one wasn't bad. Zayn came out cutting a promo, and then he cuts a promo throughout most of the match until they cut his mic for whatever reason. Maybe just to rib him, I don't know. But Miz takes the mic and whips it down the down the aisle. And yeah, so anyway, this one ends, it was 9.5 minutes. It ends with Miz chasing Sami Zayn around the ring, running into a big kick by the champion. The Kinshasa finished him off in the center of the ring as Nakamura successfully defended his title. They give it a C. They give it about a C+ on Bleacher Report. You know, that's all I can really give it. It was a decent match. Nakamura was wearing a cape, like a red cape. I thought his outfit looked kind of cool, his new surfer look that he's got going on, whatever. I thought it was pretty decent. Greg said IC title match was good. Loved Sammy on the mic. Is it just me, or did Shinsuke look like Dalton Castle? I could see that. I'm going to say no, but, I mean, I could see that. He looked like a less flamboyant Dalton Castle. By the way, going back real quick, the women's tag title match, Bleacher Report gave it a C+. I don't know what they were watching. I give it a D. I just thought it was not good. Raw Women's Championship match up next. Probably the best match of the night, in my opinion. It was Becky Lynch versus Sasha Banks. The pre-match package for it was awesome. It went 20 minutes. They brawled all over the frickin' arena. It was good stuff. Trying to get to the ending here. The fight continued for several minutes before returning to the squared circle at ringside. Sasha Banks drove Becky Lynch into the barricade as Corey Graves revealed that the match had been officially called off, which I think confused everybody because it was just so random. Cole followed by announcing that Banks had been awarded the win via disqualification. I don't know where and when. Again, they're just super confusing. The man wore Banks out with a steel chair and then used the weapon to apply the disarmor. The boss screamed in agony as officials arrived to break things up. So that was the end. It was a DQ. Sasha Banks technically got the win. They gave it an A on Bleacher Report. I would tend to do the same. Greg said Raw Women's title match was damn good. I kind of liked how there was no finish, but it went all over the arena anyways with no refs breaking it up till the end. Yeah, I'm glad they let them fight. This next match was a little underwhelming, but this whole thing has been rather underwhelming. It was Kofi Kingston defending the WWE title against Randy Orton. This was the longest match of the night at 20 minutes and 50 seconds. I feel that it went way too long, but it didn't suck. It went on way too long. Orton went for a draping DDT, and then he called for the RKO. He uncoiled for it, but Kingston countered with a schoolboy roll-up for a 2. A kick stunned the challenger and allowed the champion to create separation. Orton finally did catch him with an RKO. I thought it was done. But Kingston was able to drape his foot on the bottom rope to prevent his title reign, or preserve his title reign, rather, for a few more moments. Orton teased the running punt to the head, but Kingston got out of the way of it. Trouble in Paradise from close quarters followed that, and the champion successfully retained the title. So there was that. Bleacher Report gave it a B. I gave it a B minus. Again, splitting hairs, but, that was that. Greg said the WWE title match dragged at times, but once it picked up, it got damn good. I was scared as hell when Orton hit the RKO. Really told me that I still care that Kofi is champ. I feel that, it's okay, but, I think enough's enough. Here real soon, I feel like a lot of people are speculating that Brock's going to show up on Fox and beat Kofi, and he's going to be the WWE champion on Fox for, SmackDown. That could happen, You never know, especially with the draft coming up, and they're really pumping the draft. Greg said during the football games on Fox, they were really pushing the WWE draft on Fox, so that'll be awesome to see. I don't want to see Brock beat Kofi, but I don't know. Next up, we get a no disqualification match. Roman Reigns versus Eric Rowan. This one was very good. I felt it went on. It went on. It got a good amount of time, 17.5 minutes. The fight spilled out into the crowd again, where Rowan continued to maul the big dog. Reigns found a conveniently placed piece of equipment and blasted his opponent with it. He followed with a shot from the jib camera and then delivered another Superman punch that knocked Reigns down to the ramp. Knocked Reigns down the ramp, excuse me. Roman rushed, I think they meant Rowan, and knocked Rowan down the ramp. But Reigns rushed Rowan with a full head of steam, only to come face to face with a big boot from a returning Luke Harper. The former IC champion downed Reigns with a discus clothesline in the ring, and Rowan delivered the Iron Claw slam for the pinfall victory. And Harper is... He lost a lot of muscle mass, it looks like. He's very skinny. He had his hair up in a bun. He was wearing one of those sleeveless t-shirts like Rowan has been wearing lately of some weird, Swedish metal bands or whatever. And he was wearing what looked like his old Bludgeon Brothers pants, but they were green instead of red, like a dark green. And it made sense because when Rowan came out, I thought, oh, it looks like he's wearing his old Bludgeon Brothers pants. So I don't think they're going to go back to being the Bludgeon Brothers, but it's cool to see Harper back. It's cool to see them together. I liked it. Bleacher Report gave it a C. I gave it a B minus. I thought it was better than that. The only match of the night that I graded higher. Greg said Reigns and versus Rowan was great. Good brawl. Harper shocked the hell out of me. I didn't realize it was him till Graves said it. Yeah, I marked out for that. I thought this was a really good match. For as much crap as people give Roman Reigns and Eric Rowan, I loved it. But now we're finally on to the main event. It was 11 minutes. I don't think it should have went any longer than that. So this was a good time. It was a Universal title match, Seth Rollins versus Braun Strowman. In the end, Strowman caught Rollins in a power slam position, but Rollins escaped, dropped him with a pedigree, put the challenger away with a 4th curb stomp for the successful title defense. He hit 3 curb stomps earlier, very Brock Lesnar-like. They made Braun look strong, in my opinion, so that was cool. But then after the match, this was the kicker. As Rollins celebrated his win on the stage, The Fiend appeared. He dropped Rollins with Sister Abigail on the stage. He followed with a mandible claw. The arena became engulfed in darkness, and the maniacal laughter of Bray Wyatt sent the show off the air. That was great. I loved it. They gave it a B-. I'd probably give it a B, B+, somewhere in there. It was pretty good for the main event. Greg said, the Universal title match reminded me of Rollins-Brock. Damn good, in my opinion. A few times I actually thought Braun would win. Loved the 3 stomps, pedigree, and extra stomp. I had a holy crap moment when Bray showed up because they showed the advertisement to go off the air, and then it happened. I had texted him at one point during this. I said, pedigree his big ass into the effing mat. Pedigree and 1, 2, 3. Bury his ass. I said, oh, sorry, I was channeling my inner Bruce Pritchard. But either way, he said, overall, pretty good show, some forgettable moments, and some great ones. My favorite match was Roman and Rowan. I thought the match of the night was the Raw Women's title match. Also, the crowd sucked. Hella dead most of the show. Of course, I was mad at no Naked Mideon appearance. So, yeah, I thought the crowd was okay. I thought the show as a whole was, it was alright. It wasn't fantastic, but it was pretty good, especially for a B-level show. Yeah, I agree. My favorite match of the night was the Roman-Rowan match, and I felt the best match of the night was definitely the Raw Women's title match. So, it was good stuff, but I'm going to leave it at that. When we return, ladies and gentlemen, this might go a little long today. I apologize for that, but we are going to go with our WrestleMania 2 review. I hope you all stick around for that. It's good stuff, and we're going to wrap up the show with that. But right now, we're going to tell you about some other great podcasts here on the Big Heads Media Network. Go to bigheadsmedia.com for all the greatest podcasts on any subject you could possibly imagine. We'll be right back with WrestleMania 2.
In a world where digital content barrels towards us at relentless breakneck speeds, where posts and memes and tweets and snaps rain down a punishing assault of attention-grabbing data, 3 heroic podcasters with a strong background in broadcast media are taking on the internet. Each week, we break down the trends, technology, and connections that are transforming our lives. We are Things I Found Online.
Available wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, I'm Mark, and I'm one of the hosts of Massive Late Fee. Do you remember Blockbuster? Well, we do, and we racked up a lot of late fees there. That's why we're glad there's things like Netflix, Hulu, and Blockbuster has died, mostly because of us. We cover streaming shows and pretty much whatever we want. Join us every Thursday as we talk TV and movies on Massive Late Fee. You can find us at Massive Late Fee on Twitter, Massive Late Fee on Facebook. You can email the show at massivelatefee@gmail.com, and you can find us at MySpace, Massive Late Fee. Massive Late Fee, the best podcast we can think of.
Hey, I'm Zach.
And I'm Kevin.
And we're the hosts of the Ringside Podcast.
We were annoyed by the lack of hockey coverage on local sports radio and decided that we were stupid enough to try and provide some ourselves.
We have what we call the Ringside Guarantee. We guarantee that the podcast you're currently listening to is better than ours. We are literally just 2 halves of one whole idiot trying to fumble through covering the Detroit Red Wings, the National Hockey League, and hockey in general.
Check us out on Facebook and Twitter at Ringside Pod, and subscribe to us on all your favorite podcast providers.
Every time you listen to our podcast, it brings us one step closer to our ultimate business goal of purchasing the Arizona Coyotes and then moving them to Detroit. What? Now, back to your regularly scheduled programming, or just another commercial. We aren't the ones who make those choices.
we are going to do a review of one of the greatest WrestleManias of all time. I can't say that with a straight face. This was WrestleMania 2, which you so lovingly described as crap last week. I described as a cluster you-know-what. It took place in 3 venues, Greg, and all 3 of them sucked.
Because it was so amazing, and it had to have three venues.
Well, yeah, it couldn't... 3
parts of a horrible show.
Yeah, it had 1 hour per venue, and all 3 hours sucked. So there you go. Well, okay, I'll say there was combined out of this entire show, there was about 45 minutes, and I'm pushing it here, of goodness. Other than that, crap. Just pure crap.
Yep.
Well,
yeah.
This first hour took place in the Nassau Coliseum in Uniondale, New York. No, not Madison Square Garden, where you would think they would be. It took place in the Nassau Coliseum.
Maybe better. We don't want to have, like, a part of WrestleMania that was crap associated with that.
Yeah, that is true. Man, I don't know why they were in Uniondale, but whatever. Now the story behind this didn't they do this because they did that with Starrcade and they were trying to copy them?
I thought there was only 2 for Starrcade, wasn't there?
Yeah, because I think they did 2 for Starrcade, and then Vince was like, well, I can up the ante there. We'll do it in 3. And just
and
no.
3 different time zones, too.
Yeah. I will say this, man, that sucked for the people in Uniondale, New York, because not only do they have to sit through an hour of live crap, but then they have to sit there for 2 more hours watching a screen to see more crap.
Yeah, but at the time it was revolutionary, and they probably loved it, to be fair.
Yeah, perhaps, but I don't know. Let's start off here. The Nassau Coliseum was the only one where they only had 2 commentators. The other 2 venues had 3 commentators apiece. This one had Vince McMahon and actress Susan St. James.
Right off the bat, I gotta mention, if you watch any of the matches she called, she says the words "uh-oh" like 47 times per match.
I didn't even notice that.
That was literally all she said. Uh-oh, look, here he goes. Uh-oh.
And she was a huge Hulkamaniac, I'll say that. She kept going on about how much she loved Hulk Hogan, and she was rooting for him and all this other crap. Which, shocker.
And she wasn't even in L.A. to see him.
I know. She kept talking about how excited she was for that match. The banter between her and Vince McMahon was just kind of weird. Because Vince McMahon had to try to act like a normal human being for a little while, and it was kind of weird. I don't know, but...
Without hitting on the pretty woman, yeah.
Right, yeah, or saying something about big sweaty men, yeah. But this... Can you name anything Susan St. James did, by the way?
I cannot.
Yeah, I don't know who any of these, quote, celebrity... Well, okay, I know who, like, 1 or 2 of these, quote, celebrities are that, all night in all 3 venues. Talk about a who's who of who the hell is that? Speaking of who's who of who the hell is that? Lou Duva. I assume he's a boxing trainer.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, he was the trainer for Rowdy Roddy Piper, apparently, for his boxing match with Mr. T.
Epic boxing match.
Oh, you're damn right. 4 rounds of epicness. Well, technically 3.5, but we'll get to that. But the night starts out with Lou Duva.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Lou Duva is interviewing Rowdy Roddy Piper backstage. Piper says that he grew his hair out long so we can tell the difference between him and Mr. T in the ring. Piper says that if Mr. T can knock him out tonight, he will quit boxing, wrestling, tiddlywinks, and dating girls. He finishes...
Wow, that's a big commitment.
Right? And then he finishes by saying that he says, never will I shave my hair like an idiot and paint myself black. What the hell?
Yeah.
About that? Hashtag stay tuned. But
that's 4 years.
Right.
I'll leave that alone.
who said anything about painting himself black? Like, where the hell did that come from?
He was a little not all there at times.
You know, I'm going to say this. I love Rowdy Roddy Piper. I was a huge fan of his. I think he was a little racist. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Yeah, you don't say.
Well, you know, we start off the epicness. On paper, I was like, okay, this doesn't look like a bad match. But then I watched it, and I'm like, oh, God. Magnificent Don Morocco with Mr. Fuji took on Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff. Man, the arena actually blew up for Orndorff. Apparently, he was a big deal around this time.
Just before he turned on Hogan, yeah.
Yeah, well, just a year before, he was teaming with Piper to take on Hogan. So what the hell?
Yeah, then Piper knocked the crap out of him at the end of that match. That's when he turned face.
Yeah, that's true. But anyway, yeah, the arena blew up for Orndorff. A random 10-second interview of Orndorff, pre-recorded, plays while the match is going on, by the way. It's real random. No video, just audio while the match is going on. I'm like, what the hell? And then we have a nothing finish where they both got counted out together, and the crowd starts chanting, "Bull, you know what?" very loudly.
Oh, that's the first match of the night.
Oh, yeah, that sets the precedence, baby. First match of the night, 4 minutes and 10 seconds on the clock.
With a BS chant. I love it.
Oh, yeah. Then we move on to the Macho Man Randy Savage with Miss Elizabeth defending the Intercontinental title against George the Animal Steele. Oy, man, as much as I love Macho Man, good Lord, this is not one of his finer moments.
Yeah. Why George Steele, you know?
Because screw you, Greg, that's why. George needed to have his WrestleMania moment.
Okay, where is it?
Yeah, I'm still waiting. Vince McMahon referred to George Steele's body hair as fur because, quote, it looks like fur, but then admits that it's just hair. It's not fur.
Oh, I'm glad he cleared that up.
Yeah, I'm like, this was the most useless, 20 seconds of commentary I've ever heard. What the hell is it? And this is the guy telling other commentators what they should and should not be saying, by the way. But anyway, these two have a sloppy-ass match. It mercifully ends when the Macho Man sweeps the legs of George Steele and then does a messy-ass looking jackknife cover and puts his feet on the ropes, to which the referee was blind as a bat because freaking Ray Charles, who sang America the Beautiful earlier in the night, could have seen that.
Wow.
He called shenanigans after the bell rang, by the way. 5 minutes, 10 seconds, Greg, for the Intercontinental title match.
Don't watch it because you'll never get that back.
I know. Is it bad that the Intercontinental title match only went 5 minutes and 10 seconds and I thought it went 5 minutes way too long?
It's very bad.
Yeah.
It's also bad that that match even happened.
I know. That was poor Macho, man.
He would get his back the next couple of years, don't worry.
Yeah. What WrestleMania was it WrestleMania 4 with the tournament that he won?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was not exactly it. Even though he won the title, it wasn't kind of a boring tournament in a way, or I don't know, it was an endurance test for the watchers, I'll say that. The finals were him and DiBiase, which I love Ted DiBiase, but seriously, the main event of WrestleMania 4 is Macho Man and Ted DiBiase, I don't know. I mean, maybe it seemed bigger at the time, but looking back, it's kind of like, eh? But anyway, we go to Chicago, but it's not really Chicago. It's Rosemont, which is, outside of Chicago. It's a suburb.
We don't say that.
Yeah, they kept referring to Chicago the whole night, even though it's not. But they send it there where Mean Gene Okerlund is interviewing Bill Fralick of the Atlanta Falcons and Big John Studd. This is before their big WWF versus NFL 20-man battle royal.
Which is freaking phenomenal.
Oh, man.
When do we get to that?
I will say this. Fralick, for being a football player, he looked like he could have been a wrestler. And his promo wasn't awful. It was bland, but it wasn't awful. And he came off real cocky. He talked about Big John Studd and kept referring to him as the Dud. And then Stud gets very angry, takes a football and squashes it, twists it, and then throws it at Freilich before storming off. And then
how Mark Henry of him.
Yeah. And then Mean Gene tells him that was very inappropriate. Okay.
Oh, I'm glad he put his foot down.
Yeah, right. This
the
event,
authority has weighed in.
This event was inappropriate, all right?
Yeah. Very offensive, too.
But now we go back to Uniondale, New York, where Vince McMahon asks Susan St. James if she likes snakes.
Wow, I wonder if that was an innuendo.
Right? It's a very awkward exchange, and then Susan says, there's always a chance he'll lose, and we won't have to see the snake. The McMahon says, my guess is, win, lose, or draw, we're going to see the snake. It was just, I mean, you know who they're talking about, but they don't, say his name for, the longest time.
Again, innuendo.
Yeah, right. And interesting fact, TV time, Jake the Snake Roberts only debuted 16 days before this event. So there's something for you. But apparently, he takes on this guy named George Wells, who is apparently a former Canadian Football League player. Have you heard of this dude?
Never.
Okay, yeah. It's basically a jobber match on a big stage, even though, I mean, George Wells gets some shots in, whatever, but he does not look in shape, okay? He's got a big old pot belly. He's just, he looks bland. I don't know. He looks like he could be delivering the Miller Lite to the shop down the road, okay? But
does he have a mustache?
I think he was clean shaven. But Jake wins with the DDT and then wraps the snake around Wells, who foams at the mouth until Jake pulls the snake off. This match clocked in at 3 minutes 15 seconds. Ugh.
Wow.
Yeah. So we've had 3 matches so far, and only one of them has broke the 5-minute barrier, and that was by 10 seconds.
Oh.
Keep in mind, we only have one more match before the New York card is done.
And spoiler, it goes really short too.
Yeah, that one doesn't exactly, clock in at a long time. By the way, I know I commented on what George Wells looked like. Jake the Snake looked like, your uncle that shows up just to drink beer at the family reunion.
Shows up with a couple of tall boys, and a pack of smokes, and some lottery scratchers.
You know who I refer to. Okay. We all have that uncle. I mean, not the lottery scratch-offs, but yeah, everything else, yeah. He either wears a T-shirt with a pocket in the front so he can put his smokes in there, or if he doesn't have a pocket in his T-shirt, he just rolls them up in his sleeve. He's got the old 70s porno stash. He's got the mullet. He's skinny.
He drives a pickup truck or something with a bed.
Yeah, and he's Jake was skinny as hell, no body definition whatsoever. I mean, I was a huge Jake the Snake Roberts fan, but seriously, his look, just my God, dude, hit a gym once in a while. Then we send it to Los Angeles, where Hulk Hogan is being interviewed by Jesse Ventura backstage, and he talks about his match. And then he says he's predicting Mr. T will come out on top in his match because he's, quote, fighting for what he believes in too, which is probably Mr. T's mama.
I have no doubt.
He loves his mama, Greg. Oh, my gosh.
Too much, if you ask me, if that's such a thing.
Yeah, he went on for, 40 minutes about his mama?
Yep.
Until Kane finally had to tell him to get the hell off stage. Good Lord, that's bad when you get the hook from Kane. Then we go back to Uniondale, where Howard Finkel introduces special guest ring announcer Joan Rivers. This was only after plastic surgery number 2 of 500, I think.
Yeah, so she still looked kind of good.
Yeah, she still looked like a normal human being at this point. She introduces the special judges for the boxing match. They're basketball player Chocolate Thunder Daryl Dawkins, jazz singer Cab Holloway, whom some may remember as Curtis from the Blues Brothers movie, and Watergate scandal judge G. Gordon Liddy. No, I'm not joking about that one. She then introduces special guest timekeeper Herb, who looks like he's got just a little bit more than a little sugar in the tank. I had to look this mother effer up, by the way. Apparently, he was in Burger King ads back in the 80s. They had this campaign called Where's Herb, where they said he had never eaten a Whopper, and I just freaking stupid. What the hell? Why was this guy there?
The way you described it, the premise sounded terrible. What do you mean, stupid?
Yeah, and by the way, he was not the only fast food mascot there that night. We'll get to that.
Yeah, I know.
The hits keep on coming.
Man.
Well, after all these wonderful introductions of these who gives a crap, quote, celebrities, well, I mean, some of them like Daryl Dawkins, okay, but the rest of them was like, really? Like, Vince was really scraping the bottom of the barrel this year, man. Like, especially when you look
How dare you?
Well, look at who they had at WrestleMania 1, and then you look at who they had here, and you're like, what the hell happened?
Well, it gets worse in WrestleMania 3, but...
They spent... I guess they blew all their budget on those 3 venues. They didn't have enough money to pay these celebrities to show up.
What are you talking about? They got Mr. T.
Oh, well, yeah. That was something. Speaking of that, next we got the boxing match between Mr. T. He had the Haiti Kid and Joe Frazier in his corner. They took on Rowdy Roddy Piper. He had Cowboy Bob Orton and Lou Duva in his corner.
Well, Mr. T had the Haiti Kid. He already wins.
Who the hell is the Haiti Kid?
Really?
Yeah, I'm serious. Who is that?
He was a little person. You might remember Roddy Piper shaving his hair.
Oh, my gosh. What the... Well, I do remember seeing a little person there at ringside. I was like, the hell? Like,
He's also one of the ones that King Kong Bunny splashed the next year at WrestleMania 3.
Well, you see, Bundy goes from the main event, taking on Hulk Hogan in a cage to that in 1 year.
I'd say it's a huge step up.
Wow.
When we're talking about the Haiti Kid.
Shut up.
And also in the match was, new Hall of Famer Hillbilly Jim. So I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Just shut up. Just shut up. Anyway.
All right, I'm done.
These two flailed around like they've never been in a fight before or seen a fight before.
And I believe Mr. T is just coming off of Rocky 3, where he was a boxer.
Yep.
You think he'd remember some stuff.
Well, Mr. T acts as though he's confused about what a proper punch even looks like.
Maybe his mama didn't show him.
Yeah. Mama told me to fight with my words, not my hands. Fool. Man. Hot Rod handily takes the first 2 rounds, while Mr. T makes it look like Roddy's in practice mode against an AI. Oh, man. The referee has to pause the fight at the start of round 2 because there's way too much grease on the forehead of Piper. That was a weird stoppage. Between rounds 3 and 4, Hot Rod threw his stool at Mr. T, and then Orton, and at one point, Orton throws the contents of Hot Rod's spit bucket onto Mr. T. Oh, man. And you wonder where his son gets his antics from.
Man.
At least this was probably scripted. Hot Rod eventually loses via disqualification in the 4th round when he body slams Mr. T. Roddy then jumps him after the fight, and they have to be separated.
Oh, man. Just think, though. It could have been worse.
Well, you know what pisses me off, dude, is...
It could have been a wrestling match.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, I know. Well, you know what pisses me off is they brought in all those, those big-time, huge-name celebrity judges, and they didn't even get to call the fight. What the hell? We were robbed. Yeah,
of like $40 on pay-per-view.
We were robbed of 13 minutes and 14 seconds of our life. That's how long this fight, quote-unquote, fight lasted.
Man, I just... I watched it, and I can't watch it again.
Well...
Like, ever.
Another interesting fact about this, I guess, the story goes... I guess Roddy Piper was an amateur boxer back or when he was younger or something like that.
Yeah.
And he legit hated Mr. T. I wonder why. But anyway, they had him. You know how most boxers, they'll tape their hands while they're open. Well, they had Roddy make a fist, and then they taped up his fist because the theory was that way his fist wouldn't reach the end of the glove and his punches wouldn't be as impactful because they were afraid he was going to legit knock out Mr. T. That's bad.
That's sad.
But let's move it. You know I crapped on Susan St. James and whatever, but, she was great compared to this next one. Let's move on to the Rosemont Horizon in Rosemont, Illinois. Oh, my gosh. The commentators were Gorilla Monsoon, Mean Gene Okerlund, and Kathy Lee Crosby. If you're asking who the hell is that, so are we.
Also, I love Mean Gene, but he's not good play-by-play.
No. I think they had Gorilla do most of the play-by-play, and, Gene would just, jump in every now and then and, fill in stuff. It was weird. There was not really technically a color person.
That's because Roddy Piper got rid of them all.
Oh, my God. You said that. What the hell?
I thought we just discussed that he was kind of racist.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. Well, Kathy Lee Crosby had this painted-on, vacant, Stepford Wives look on her face the whole night. She was
she didn't know what the hell she was doing.
She's like, where am I? I just took a bunch of drugs and now I don't know where I am. Oh my gosh. And apparently, I had to look her up on Wikipedia. I guess she was an actress / tennis player. So, yeah, that. She was hot, I'll say that, whatever. But it doesn't stop there with the bad guests. The special guest ring announcer for Rosemont Horizon was the only person who was not a legit ring announcer. The guy's name was Chet Kopic, and apparently he was a radio personality in the area. He clearly doesn't know what the hell he's doing and always repeats everyone's name.
Okay.
For instance, this first match, the Fabulous Moolah defended the WWF Ladies Wrestling Championship against Velvet McIntyre. And when he announced them, he said, Velvet McIntyre. Velvet McIntyre. I'm like, what is she, Mr. Kennedy? But he did that for everybody. Yeah. Well, he did that for everybody. He, the Fabulous Moolah. The Fabulous Moolah. Yeah, we heard you the first time. Shut up. But he was just bad and awkward, and he didn't look like he knew what the hell he was doing. You could tell he was out of his element. I'm like, what the hell? But
just there for a check.
Yeah, basically. This match went on about as well as you'd expect it to go. Clocked in the minute 25 seconds. You can't even call this a special attraction, considering it didn't even last 2 minutes. The end of the
entrances were probably longer.
They got jobber entrances. So there you go.
To hide the fact that the entrances would have been longer. Yes.
Probably. Well, the finish of the match was Velvet misses with a splash off the second rope, and Moolah pins her for the win. That was the jobbiest finish of all time.
Jobbiest. Oh, I think you created a word.
I did, yeah. We're going to coin that phrase, Greg. But yeah, then Kathy Lee Crosby tells Gorilla Monsoon that she's changing her Battle Royal pick from the football players to the wrestlers because the wrestlers, quote, are huge. More innuendo.
Well, she didn't she didn't see this coming.
Yeah, she was like, I thought the football players, were going to take it, but, oh, man, I don't think they stand a chance. I see these wrestlers in person, and they're huge. Yeah? There's a guy in the match called Andre the Giant. There you go. Here we go with this classic, Greg. It's Nikolai Volkov with Classy Freddie Blassie in his corner, taking on Corporal Kirchner.
Yeah.
In a flag match.
The poor man Sergeant Slaughter.
Oh, you're right on the poor man's part. Yeah. Oh, my gosh.
Side note, we're going to try to meet Corporal Kirchner at WrestleCon. He will be there.
Are we? I want to meet him just so I can be like, hey, we crapped on you in our podcast.
Oh, spoiler, we're about to crap on him. Okay.
Yeah, here we go. Well, nothing gets the crowd fired up like a good old-fashioned USA versus the other country. Oh, my gosh, because the crowd actually got loud for Corporal Kirchner when he came out. I don't know what song they were actually playing for his entrance, by the way, but there's a really loud dubbed theme over his entrance on the network.
I don't know what his theme was.
Yeah, that's why I was like, what the hell did he come out to that's apparently trademarked now? Like, Uncle Elmer, it was the same thing, by the way. So think about that one.
Okay. Hell of a duo.
Right? But my question, Greg, is what the hell makes this a flag match?
Because it's America versus the other country.
I guess. It's just a normal freaking match and both men have their flags at ringside. Volkov controls most of the match, but at the end, the ref gets bumped. Kirchner makes a comeback, or while Kirchner's making a comeback, Blassie throws in his cane, but Kirchner catches it. Wasn't even close to Volkov. This looks so bad. He catches it, nails Volkov in the head, and he pins him for the win. Because nothing says American superiority like cheating to win.
Yep. Oh, man.
And apparently the stipulation of this flag match was, if you win, you get to wave your flag. Yay!
Because you couldn't do that any other time?
Well, no. You got to win the match first, Greg. God.
My mistake. I'm sorry.
2 minutes, 5 seconds, by the way. So
How long was this event? Like 12 minutes?
Yeah. There are a total of 4 matches in Rosemont. We've had 2 so far for a total of 3.5 minutes.
All tape for Superstars of Wrestling, airing on Saturday.
I take longer to brush my teeth in the morning. Just good Lord. Mean Gene Okerlund then introduces special guest referee for the WWF versus NFL Battle Royal. It's Ed Too Tall Jones and the guest timekeeper, Clara Peller from Wendy's fame. She is the Where's the Beef lady, if any of you are old enough to remember that.
Wow, there's the fast food reference.
Yeah, there you go. She forgets her one line she's supposed to say. She literally had one job, and she freaking messed it up. Because, like, he gives the cue, he says something about, she has certainly found the beef, Clara Peller. And then the camera focuses on her. She leans over to whoever's next to her, and she goes, now, say it now. And then she stands up and waves the microphone like a baton and yells, where's the beef? Where's the beef?
Say it now, say it now.
Oh, it was so bad.
You couldn't get another camera going? You had to focus on her?
Well, the fact, it just, like, that was her one job. But she has one line, where's the beef? That's the only thing she's known for, and she forgot it. I'm going to blame it on the fact that, and this is going to come off, there's no good way to say this. She looked like she was, on death's doorstep. So it just,
Ooh, man.
There's another punch in that hell card.
I didn't say it.
Dude, she was, like, old as dirt, all right? Like, she was the guest time.
I'm not touching this.
She was the guest timekeeper during Kane versus Abel, okay? So.
Wow.
All right. The WWF versus NFL Battle Royal. Plug yourself in for this one. The participants for the NFL are Russ Francis from the 49ers, Ernie Holmes from.
Boo.
Yeah, Ernie Holmes from the Steelers.
Boo.
I'm waiting. Are you saying boo or who? Because I agree with both.
Sorry.
Well, I agree with both. Jimbo Covert from the Bears, Harvey Martin from the Cowboys, Bill Fralick from the Falcons, and William the Refrigerator Perry for the Bears. That's Hall of Famer William the Refrigerator Perry, might I add.
The freshly new NFL champion, Richard Perry, I believe.
Yeah, him and Jimbo Covert were the Super Bowl champions going into this. Participants for the WWF are Andre the Giant, Bret Hart, Jim Neidhart, Pedro Morales, Tony Atlas. I don't know this one. Ted Arcidi. Do you know?
Yeah, powerlifting champion.
Okay. Well, that guy. Danny Spivey, future Waylon
Mercy.
Wearing bright yellow in this with a blonde mullet, by the way. Hillbilly Jim, King Tonga, Iron Sheik, B. Brian Blair, Jim Brunzell, Big John Studd, and Bruno Sammartino. Fun fact, this was the only pay-per-view appearance for Bruno Sammartino. I don't know if that's a fun fact or a very sad and depressing fact.
Both.
The Fridge should have wore a shirt that fit. I'll say that, because...
yeah.
His,
like a bigger version of Ralphus.
Yeah, his friggin' fat rolls kept popping out under his shirt. When Big John Studd eliminates him, Fridge reaches up to shake Studd's hand. Studd, for some reason, accepts it, and the Fridge pulls him out, eliminating him. Then it comes down to the Hart Foundation and Andre the Giant. Jim Neidhart runs into a big boot by Andre and goes flailing halfway across the ring, very unrealistically, and flies over the top rope like an idiot. This was the dumbest elimination I've ever seen. And then the finale is Andre press slams Bret off of the top rope onto Jim Neidhart outside for the win. Man, what was the point of the NFL players even being in there? Like, you would imagine it would come down to, like, Andre and the Fridge, but no. The hell ever. Or Andre and anybody. But no, it comes down to Andre and two WWF guys.
Yeah.
This Battle Royal...
It's okay, though. Fridge got his. He was in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. For this. Why would...
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was going to say, celebrities have been inducted for less, so this match clocked in at 9 minutes, 13 seconds, Greg.
Ooh, man. 7 minutes over.
Wow. So, in 3 matches so far, Rosemont has seen a total of 12 minutes of action.
Only because of the Battle Royal.
Yeah, I know. That's pathetic. We go back to New York, where Vince McMahon and Susan St. James interview Rowdy Roddy Piper. Piper says that Mr. T and William Perry, quote, come from the same mold because they both cheat, even though I think he was thinking of something else. Piper then references cutting his hair again like an idiot and painting himself black yet again. Man, foreshadowing.
It's a foreshadowing.
Right? St. James then says that sounds like a bunch of blarney to me. Does she think he's Irish?
Yeah.
I think she's confused. She doesn't know the difference between Scottish and Irish people. Those are two totally different countries, Susan. Oh my gosh. That's offensive as a fellow Scot. Oh my gosh. But anyway, the interview ends with Piper making a monkey noise into the camera. Oh my gosh. It gets it's harder to defend Piper not being a racist.
Well, he showed 7 times throughout the whole night.
Yeah, I know. Back in Chicago, or Rosemont, whatever the hell, Mean Gene Okerlund interviews Jimbo Covert, who delivers a very bland promo about, quote, being cheated. He says that 20 times in the promo in the Battle Royal. And then, just when you think it couldn't get any worse, Okerlund then turns to the Iron Sheik, who calls him Gene Mean, and then rambles on saying things that literally nobody can understand. Until finally he cuts him off and is like, all right, well, back to the action. Oh, man. That's,
It's Jin Min.
Yeah, that was bad. Then we go to the best match of the entire card, and I'm not joking. This really was. The Dream Team of Brutus Beefcake and Greg Valentine, with Johnny Valiant in their corner, defend the WWF Tag Team titles against the British Bulldogs, with Captain Lou Albano and Ozzy Osbourne in their corner.
Now, I always wonder what made them a Dream Team.
Yeah, I know. Wasn't Beefcake relatively unknown at this point?
Yep.
Yeah, so what the hell? And he dressed like an idiot.
Oh, yeah, luckily he would lose that.
Oh, well, yeah. It would only get better from there. Especially when he cuts the ass out of his tights. But yeah, both teams looked like they were really trying to beat the snot out of each other, especially when Valentine was in the ring. The slams were really tough as well, bouncing the hell out of the ring. The Bulldogs get the win when Davey Boy throws Valentine headfirst into Dynamite Kid's head, knocking both men down and allowing Smith to get the pin. Total, 13 minutes and 3 seconds.
Longer than every other match combined.
Right? That's pathetic. But it was a really great match, so I ain't mad at it. But now it is time for the final portion of the show. We move on to the Los Angeles Memorial Sports Arena in Los Angeles, California. Is that still a place, by the way?
I'm going to say yes.
I know you're NorCal, but I didn't know if you knew. The commentators for this portion of the show, this is the best trio yet, or the best combo yet, whatever, and it's still not all that great. It was Jesse the Body Ventura, Lord Alfred Hayes, and Elvira. Lord Alfred Hayes, I was like, why the hell is he there? Because Lord Alfred Hayes, he was cool for doing interviews and stuff, but I did not like his commentary here. I don't know if
I know, it was brutal.
Not that,
Not just here.
Yeah, man. The audio is really low for these three when they're doing their intro to the show, whereas the audio for Lee Marshall, the guest ring announcer, is way too loud, and he almost blows out his microphone.
He's got that golden voice.
Yeah. And I love the Fink and whatever in New York, but I think Lee Marshall did the best job all night. I will say I think L.A. had the best card out of all three venues. Consistently. It still wasn't a great card, but it was the best out of all three.
Because leading the charge.
Right. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat took on Hercules Hernandez in the first match here. Ricky proved why he's one of the best, and Hercules just was kind of there to take the moves.
And who did he take off after WrestleMania?
Right. Elvira.
Poor Hercules.
Elvira, during this match, seriously said that she's seen a lot of horror films, but this is the most violent thing she's ever witnessed. I was like, come on.
Can we pause and ask, why Elvira's there?
Because, you saw her, Greg. All right? Enough said.
Okay.
Ricky wins with a flying crossbody off the top rope. This match clocked in at 7 minutes, 27 seconds.
Ooh.
A long one for a change. Giggity. Anyway, then we move on to a what the hell is going on match here. Adorable Adrian Adonis with Jimmy Hart takes on Uncle Elmer.
What do you mean? What's going on here? That's got money written all over it.
This was Hillbilly wants to beat the crap out of the not straight guy match. Come on.
Nothing cliche about that.
No, not at all. Adonis takes a bunch of punishment to start the match and flops around like a fish. Elmer eventually rips the dress right off of Adonis. Elmer looks like he's just disgusted by how gay Adonis acts. Like, he's got this look on his face every time Adonis does anything flamboyant. He's just like, oh my gosh. About Adonis, Elvira said, quote, I don't think I've seen that much cellulite in one place at one time.
Man. Look down.
Oh, my. That's not cellulite. That's, never mind. Anyway, that's silicone. But Adonis gets the pin after a splash off the top rope. Good Lord. Mercifully, 3 minutes and 1 second.
3 minutes exactly, too long.
Wow. Then we go to an awkward, and I love Hulk Hogan, but by God, this interview. Lord Alfred Hayes does an interview with Hulk Hogan backstage. Hulk calls Hayes, quote, awful Alfred. Like, why is he hating on Alfred Hayes?
Maybe he was a heel at first.
I don't know. Well, then Hogan calls an ambulance a, quote, slow-rolling coffin, so-called ambulance.
What does that even mean?
I don't know, and what the hell is with Hogan referring to an ambulance or a stretcher as a coffin? He did it here. He did it again in his promos before the infamous Yapapa Indian strap match. When he was talking about Jimmy Hart being stretchered away, and he said, I saw him going by in the slow-rolling coffin, dude. And I'm like, what? It was a stretcher. Like, so in Hogan's mind, when you go to the hospital, you die? Is that it?
Or if you're just laying on that stretcher, you're dead.
I guess. I just, like, what? Oh, my gosh. Like, this was pre-recorded. Why didn't they say, cut, redo it? What the hell does that mean?
Because why?
You know what? I don't know, Greg. I really don't. Then we got our second tag team match of the night, and this one was actually... Wow. It was an awkward one, but it wasn't a bad match. Jimmy Hart just stayed out there because he was with Haas and Terry Funk. If you don't know, Haas Funk is Dory Funk Jr. I don't know why the hell they changed his name. But they took on the team of Junkyard Dog and Tito Santana. You heard me right.
Why is this a match?
I don't know, but it was a lot better than it deserved to be, I'll say that. JYD and Santana get walked to the ring by about 10 cops. Apparently they thought those two were going to get jumped in L.A. While
We'll leave that alone.
While this wasn't the greatest tag match I've ever seen, it was probably the second or third best match on this entire event, which is saying something. Santana.
No, that bar is already on the floor, though, so what's it saying?
Oh, my gosh. Oh, man. Santana takes the majority of the beating. Elvira says that she hopes the guys are wearing strong trunks since they keep grabbing at them for suplexes. Ventura then tells her that if they break away, she'll get a real show, and she says, woo, all right, that's what I came here for.
So she just... Never mind.
She just outed herself and just, okay.
As a perv?
Yes. There you go. The fight breaks down outside the ring for quite a while. Terry Funk gets the pin after he nails JYD with Jimmy Hart's megaphone. Total time, 11 minutes, 42 seconds. That's bad when a match that goes slightly over 10 minutes is one of the longest matches on the entire card.
And it's one that not a lot of people cared about.
I don't think anybody cared about it, so you're kind of highballing it there.
I'm trying to be nice.
After that, we see a video package of Hulk Hogan no-selling his back injury and working out at his own personal gym. Dude, he's acting like he seriously got like taped up ribs and just acting like, I'm perfectly fine. What are you talking about? He's just not selling it at all. But then Jesse Ventura interviews King Kong Bundy and Bobby the Brain Heenan. Why does Bundy shave his eyebrows, by the way? He looks like a giant albino baby.
I didn't realize that. I have to go back and look at that.
Yeah, if you look at the interview, either he's got really, really thin eyebrows or he shaves his eyebrows. Like, if he wasn't so large, I'd think he had a sickness. Like, I don't know. Anyway, Lee Marshall introduces special guest ring announcer, LA Dodgers manager, Tommy Lasorda. Yeah, that guy.
That's one of the most famous managers in baseball.
Well, I don't watch baseball, and I don't give a damn about the Dodgers, so I don't know. But you're the baseball guy between the two of us. You know all this crap. But then Lasorda introduces guest timekeeper, child actor Ricky Schroeder from Silver Spoons.
Silver Spoons.
Yeah, I didn't even know that was a show for the longest time. So he then introduces the special guest referee, actor Robert Conrad. Who the hell is that?
Don't know.
He started naming off some of the things he did, and I was like, I've literally never heard of one of those things. Oh, my gosh. But then we get to the main event of the evening. It's Hulk Hogan versus King Kong Bundy with Bobby the Brain Heenan in his corner for the WWF title. Hogan is still no-selling the ribs, which everyone keeps pointing out are, quote, heavily taped. They're not. His stomach is taped up. His ribs are not even touched by tape. All right? Elvira says, quote, I haven't seen this much exposed flesh since I was at the Las Vegas Spa Show day.
My God.
She has a bunch of terrible one-liners. The first time Bundy's face hits the cage, by the way, it's clear as day that Heenan runs over and hands him a gig, and he's sitting there cutting himself. The camera's, like, heavily focusing on this. I'm like, look away! What the hell? It was like the worst.
Well, maybe he was shaving his eyebrows. You don't know.
Oh my gosh. To quote, this comedian Jim, or not Jim, this comedian, anyway, this one comedian, I can't think of his name now. He was talking about.
You're about to quote him.
Well, he was a larger gentleman, and he played the female part in Hairspray on Broadway for the longest time. And he said he had to shave his eyebrows all the time. And he said people would give him weird looks all the time. And he's like, they're like, why are his eyebrows shaved? Does he have cancer? Well, if he has cancer, like, he's certainly keeping up his appetite, God bless him.
Oh, my God.
Oh, man. That's what I can think of for Bundy. I'm sorry. But anyway, Ventura says that Elvira's mouth is watering looking at all that blood, and then Elvira says that it's making her hungry. That's just gross. Hogan literally no-sold the second avalanche of the match and then just beat the hell out of Bundy before escaping for the win. Bobby Heenan eventually, even with a broken neck, he runs around the cage, gets into the cage, then Hogan gets in and just throws his ass up against the cage and then hits a big old atomic drop on him to throw him outside. Like, God bless Bobby Heenan, man. What a tough SOB. Apparently, he was in the hospital with a fractured vertebrae, and they said it required surgery. He gets a call while in the hospital from Vince that says, if you don't make WrestleMania, you're fired. So he hops on...
He goes and does all that.
Yeah, so he hops on a plane, flies to L.A., bumps around for Hogan, gets back on the plane, flies back to his hospital, has neck surgery. Like, holy hell. Like, God bless Bobby Heenan. Greatest manager of all time.
Poor dude.
You can hear him at one point, like, the first time where he's trying to help Bundy escape from the cage, and then Hogan closes the door back, and he's like, damn it!
It's still going on.
Right? The main event of the whole night clocked in at a total of 10 minutes, 15 seconds. Man, you know,
man.
Other than the fact...
Still to this day, the only cage match in WrestleMania history, I believe.
Yep, it is. There have been plenty of... There were 3 Hell in a Cell matches, no regular cage matches. It's kind of weird. You know, I'll tell you this. If not for the fact that Hogan had tape on him, I would have never known his ribs had anything wrong with them. He didn't sell that at all. I was like, well, damn, Hogan. Oh, man. But yeah, so that was crap.
Oh, man. I want to watch this all over again.
I had to skim through it a second time because my notes accidentally got erased my first time around. Oh, that was painful on so many levels.
Oh, man, it's like double the fun.
Shut up.
Thank you all for tuning in. Sorry about the so-so audio quality, some background noise and whatnot. I was using a different way to record today just to get you guys a show. The show that I promised you guys before Wednesday. I had to do it. I apologize with time constraints and everything, but next week we will hopefully be back in the saddle. Normally, we are going to review Fall Brawl 1996, WCW's Fall Brawl 96, the way we promised, the way we usually do it. We will review it all for you, and if we have time, we'll squeeze in a quick review of the big event as well, like we promised you this week. We'll just bump it to next week if we could squeeze it in. Thank you all for keeping tuned in here today. We will bring you our regularly scheduled programming next week with brand new content. Later!